With 11,000 murders by handgun each year in this country, it is clear we have a real problem. But the question today is no longer what is the problem. The question is what is the solution? I'm Ted Williams, and welcome to A New Way TV. Remember, change starts with you. Joining us today to talk about America's problem with gun violence are two distinguished professors. Professor Ajeen Muhammad, who is also a juvenile probation officer, and Dr. Daniel Davis, who is a professor of African American Studies in the City Colleges of Chicago. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome.
So, America is one of 4 nations in the world with a constitutionally enshrined right to bear arms. Among those, the other ones are Mexico, Guatemala, and Haiti, okay? We have about 300 million guns and about 300 million citizens in this country. Why do we have so many guns?
The gun thing is profit driven. But the reason why I think we have more deaths than all of those is because we're also driven by fear.
Okay.
I've gone to some of those other countries you mentioned. You look at the news in those other countries, they barely mention the murder. We lead all our stories with murder. We institute a sense of fear.
Okay.
All of the citizens.
All right, so fear is very important.
And I agree. I would say fear accompanied by racism. You can't leave that out. From 250 years ago, right? We're going all the way back to since its inception, slavery. And part of the motivation was to keep slaves under control, or the Negroes under control.
Sure.
And that has morphed and continued until 2015. Going back to the news, you don't just see crime on the news, you see usually black male faces that are committing these crimes. So what do you do?
Okay, so we're hopping in this race question already, which I'm fine with, okay? That's fine, that's how this goes. But I do want to ask this question because I find, and I have a pretty diverse set of friends, I find that my friends who are not African American are fearful. I find that my friends who are African American are fearful too. My friends who are Latino are fearful. Everybody's afraid in this country. Right. And so is that a racial question? Is it a violence question? Is it a media question? Why is everyone so afraid?
It's a capitalist question. And literally everything from when the phone is coming, we're only going to make 600 phones. So everybody runs to the store to be one of those. We're only going to make 400 PlayStation 4s. Everybody runs to the store. So we are driven by fear. I mean, pardon my expression, but I mean, even in church, it's like if you don't hurry up and cross over, you know what I'm saying, you're going to hell. I'm just being honest.
Ajeen, you didn't go there now. Come on, Ajeen.
This fear is just driven throughout our lives. It's from when I was a child. Okay, so if you don't go to church today, you know you're going to hell.
Okay.
Okay, so I respond to fear. Anything that's look like it's gonna cause me some fear, I jump.
Okay, but what are we afraid of?
Well, that's where the racial dynamic comes in, but it's also fear across the board. If you're a young quote-unquote thug in the street, you're still scared. If you talk to individuals that are in criminal activity and that carry guns, they're scared of somebody taking something from them. Lil Durk, who's part of the drill music scene in Chicago that's so popular, he said when he was arrested, not in a verse, that I keep those pipes on me, right? Because they Negroes want to take my bands from me, right?
And we know it's probably not Negroes, but
well,
I appreciate you keeping it PC.
But you get my point.
Yes.
And what's the other thing in hip hop? They say, what? I'd rather be caught with one than without one.
Okay.
Right? So it's fear. But on the racism comes in because even going back to the drug trade, you go back 100 years. How did they demonize cocaine? They said that African American males on cocaine were immune to bullets and wanted to run around and rape white women.
Interesting.
So they actually changed the caliber of bullets because they were scared that black men high on coke would just run through bullets and cause all this chaos.
Very interesting.
When the Colorado mass shootings happened, gun sales went up. Yeah. So that's just fear, but the race is also intertwined with it.
So it's interesting when you say that because I had this conversation a lot about this issue of gun violence. And people say, guns don't kill people. People kill people, right? You've heard that before. Yes. Yeah. But the same week that Sandy Hook, the massacre that happened in Connecticut with the young children, that same week there was a massacre in China, right? Well, I wouldn't even say massacre. There was a person that walked into a school building and stabbed 20 people. And guess how many of them died? 0, right? So if you think about it, people always say, well, it's not the guns, it's the, it's the people. Or what are we going to do, ban knives or ban cars or ban these sorts of things? And I say, but the distinction is that it's so much easier to kill somebody if you have a gun. And so how do we, once again, get back to this question? We know people are afraid. We know people are racist. We know people are sexist. We know that people are crazy, have mental issues. But the bottom line is that in America, it's too easy to get a gun. And so what do we do about that? That is really where I want to have this conversation.
I've been working with juvenile justice for like the last 8 years. I've been in criminal justice for the last 30 years. And I've seen a trend of whereas there are less juveniles locked up than there were 20 years ago, but we have more murders with juveniles than we had 20 years
Interesting
ago.
point.
So my thing is, why are we slapping these kids on the wrist? These kids are carrying guns. They can get a gun quicker than get a cell phone. Right? So I've seen more kids with guns than with cell phones. They're walking around afraid to walk the streets without a gun, or with a friend that has a gun. But at the same time, nothing's being done to them when they're caught. Slap them on the wrist, send them home.
Okay.
Up until the 18. Then when they get 18, caught with the same gun,
So
now they get 10 years.
So, but are you
I'm
suggesting?
saying it's a setup.
So, it's a setup. Okay.
The
Okay.
setup, in other words,
Are you suggesting that they should have more criminal penalties at a younger age? Is that what you're
I
suggesting?
think if you start enforcing the laws at a younger age, I think we'll eradicate some of this.
Whoa. Wait a second, Eugene. You are saying that because we just had this conversation
Let's
even
even
before we
spread
started
it out.
taping.
The mamas need to know.
Okay,
If the mama knows there's a gun in the house, hold her accountable.
That's
too.
fine. We can hold the mama accountable and let's put the daddy in there as well. Okay, we
If
throw
he's
them all
there.
in there. Okay,
If he's there.
If he's there. But here's the point: we know that for a lot of these kids, he's not there, right?
That's
And
why they
so,
got a gun.
is the further criminalization of these kids the way out of this problem, or are there other solutions to this?
Personally, I think we need to not necessarily widen the net, but close the net and focus just on gun violence, because all statistics show that crime is down, all right? But murder rate is steady going up. I don't understand that.
Okay.
But the crime is down, but the murder rate is going through the roof. The people carrying the guns are accidentally shooting people. None of them going to the range.
Okay.
All right? So
Yeah, they are
to
not
stop
good
these-
shots.
They're not good shots.
Right.
We need to start enforcing the laws that are already in the books. And if we have to include parents, then that might need to happen. Because mama know that boy got a gun.
Okay. Well, okay. So maybe it's the parental piece as well.
It's much deeper than that too,
Okay.
because you mentioned that more than young people you deal with, they can get a gun before they can,
Get a
or more
cell
than have a
phone.
gun than a cell phone.
More?
I believe the problem is that more can get a gun before they can find a job, right?
Interesting.
The problem on a macro level is poverty, right? There's no job opportunities. If you find young men that can work or have middle class parents or households or stable households, there could be guns in the environment, but they don't need them, right?
I agree with that 100%.
So they're getting guns because of their lifestyle, and their lifestyle is determined by economics, poverty, unemployment, all these things are playing into it.
Okay.
Even unstable households.
Okay.
So the root of this all is poverty.
Now, I can't argue with you on that, because that is exactly true. Because bottom line is, my kids look at guns like they're ATM cards when they bought a thumper.
Yeah.
When they gotta get groceries.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen that several times.
Now, there's so many issues happening here. Let's separate them. So, in terms of the gun violence for young people, specifically, we're definitely talking about an issue of poverty, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
But let me throw this out as well. Even in the communities that are not poor in this country, do you realize that there are 19,000 suicides every year by handgun in this country? And those are not just coming from poor areas. So we've got, on the one hand, we have the issue of handgun violence in poor communities. But on the other hand, even Americans who are not poor are dealing with this issue because they have easy access to guns, and there are more people that kill themselves from guns than that kill each other.
Yeah, that may be true, but if there wasn't a gun there, they'd slit the wrist.
No, they wouldn't.
Not to sound
No, they would
horrific.
not.
Not to sound crazy,
No,
but
they wouldn't.
Are you kidding?
I'm dead serious.
If you want to kill yourself, you'll find another way.
No, they won't.
You
You
can
know
jump
why?
out of a building. You can do all kinds of
Dr.
things.
Davis, I disagree with you 100% on that.
A gun is just a way to do it.
An
You take-
easier way to do
Yeah,
it.
just-
Another
but
way.
you-
But if you're taking your own life, there's a part of you that has a level of cowardice, I would imagine, right?
Yes.
So are you really going to go and take a knife and try to figure out how to stab yourself 30 times to kill
You
yourself?
can take pills. There's a million. Listen, if someone, most people, by the way, that are quote unquote suicidal, don't have the guts to actually go through with it.
Sure.
So once you reach that level to actually pull the trigger,
Once you have a
you'll
plan.
find another way.
Then once you have a
you're
plan,
not worried
once
about
you
it.
got a plan.
Oh,
Okay.
my God,
All right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right. I'll concede that to
They'll
you.
find another.
I'll let you have that one because I'm about to get you on this one. Okay. So think about this, right? So the other thing I hear people say all the time is it's well, the good people with the guns, you don't have to worry about them because the problem is not them, it's all these other bad people with the with the bad guns.
Unregistered guns.
But here's the thing, check this out. Do you realize that 80% 90% of the guns that are in the city of Chicago that are found, the police find, and all these crimes, whatever, are coming from out of state, right? Yeah. So what's happening is you find that this is what's happening. Guns are coming in Chicago bought from these gun shows, right? You can go into a gun show, you can go in without a FOID card, you can just kind of walk in there and buy a gun. People buy, they call it straw buy, they buy a bunch of them, bring them back to Chicago, places like that, they sell them on the streets. And so, for me, I've always thought, what's the point of having gun laws in Chicago if there are no gun laws in Indiana? Exactly. It's just, it's a joke, right?
It is a joke. But my thing is that our kids are being kicked out of schools. Our schools are being shut down. Kids are being transported from one area to another area. So there is a fear factor. Mm-hmm. You know, if a kid's got to go from Argyle Gardens to Finger in Roseland, he's going to feel safer with a gun. Mm-hmm. And now he's got this gun, now he's got all this air in his chest, and now he dare you to say something to him.
That's true.
And so now, in other words, this thing, it really is political. It gets political to the point to where public schools are being used to tear up neighborhoods. You know, you shut down a school in a neighborhood, now the property value in that neighborhood is going down. Now you got to bounce kids from one neighborhood to another neighborhood. That's going to create another problem with gangs. And then you shut the school down for poor performers. Well, nobody's performing because nobody's going to school.
That's okay.
And so then you come back 2 years later with a charter school. Who has invested in these charter schools? Who's invested in these privately run prisons? Who's invested? And this is a movement across the state. You have to wonder, across the country, why would billionaires want to run for public office? Because they have investments in private education, in charter schools, and in private prisons.
Okay, so you're going to a whole other level here, right?
And that's the level it needs to be at. Okay. Because the people that we're screaming Black Lives Matter to,
sure,
don't care about lives. They care about the bottom line. And if we really are serious about stopping this, we have to hit them where it hurts. That's their pocket.
Interesting point. Okay, so you think there's a bigger issue. You think this is not just about guns, but you believe that there are a lot larger issues at stake. Talk to me about that.
I'm really kind of upset about certain things because I'm looking at how we vote, and I'm looking at the people that are running for office. Okay. Billionaires running for office. Billionaires running for office that have interest in school systems, starting charter schools. Billionaires that have interest in privately run prisons. Okay. Privately run prisons that create little to no cost labor, almost free labor. There's more being locked up and available for cheap labor now than it was in slavery. We got 2.2 million men locked up in prison now. Slavery at its high point with 10 million slaves only had 1 million men. So we got men working, making computers, phones, televisions for little or nothing. And you get these people in office, they change the laws. There's stiffer laws written now. Now guys are getting longer time. Why? Because they're getting money from federal funds to run this prison. This prison is on the stock market.
Interesting. So you think this gun violence question, and I've read this, and I think you bring up a very, very good point. The gun violence question is a larger, connected to a larger issue of the prison industrial complex. Exactly. And how people are making money off of people being incarcerated. It's interesting because I teach political science, and my students, we talk about a couple of amendments. We talk about the Second Amendment, which we're going to get into in a second. We talk about the 13th Amendment, which says that slavery actually is still legal if you are convicted of a crime. So you're suggesting this is all connected.
This is all, in other words, this is just a modern day slavery. There are actually theories. I've had students write papers on pipeline from school to prison. Interesting. Foster care to prison. In other words, 7 out of 10 kids, 7 out of 10 boys in foster care end up in the prison system. And so we have families splitting up. There are no more nucleus families. You know, when I got married, it was 7 out of 10 marriages stayed. Now it's less than 4 out of 10 people stay married. You have these boys in these homes. Their moms are telling them they're the man of the house. They're scared. They're carrying guns. You put these guns in the neighborhood, right, that makes guys feel bigger about themselves. Okay. And if they're broke, they will use that. They're gonna talk to them.
Okay. Let's move to the Second Amendment. All right. So a lot of people say, well, that's all fine and dandy, what you're saying about the prison industrial complex and about the number of guns. But the reality is that America has a guaranteed right to bear arms. Now, I have always thought that if you look back in the context of the Second Amendment, you will see that that right is explicitly linked to the need for a militia, right? And so I always make the case that when the Founding Fathers wrote this, there was no standing army in the country, and there was a lot of instability, and so in that way, people were saying, yes, you need a gun so you could be called upon by your state government to execute the laws, suppress insurrection, and repel invasions is what the Constitution actually says.
Right.
So I want to know from you all, do you think that people should have the right to carry their weapons? The Supreme Court just recently ruled that we should have an individual, not a collective right. Do you think the country is safer with more people carrying guns?
Again, in my opinion, it's not the gun, right? It's the circumstances around the person with the gun that create the desire for a person to go get a gun for a certain reason, right? So me personally, now that Pandora's box has been opened, I'm going to want a gun to protect my family because it's crazy out here, right? Because of the situation. However, I'm not in a position to go rob someone or go spray a block with my gun and hit innocent children or have beef with a rival gang member because I'm not in that life. If more of us could not be in that life and have a stable living situation, the gun wouldn't be a problem.
Okay, but what happens when that gun is used accidentally? You know, there are guns that are used more often in homes accidentally to hurt someone than they are to defend an intruder. And I hear you, by the way. I have a family. I feel the same way. However, you know, that line between, you know, there's an old saying that says a thin line between love and hate. I think there's a thin line between genius and sanity. And that sort of person, and there's just a thin line between being normal and being crazy oftentimes, right? So what if you, Dr. Davis, okay, you're a sensible guy. What if somebody ticks you off someday, right? Let's just say, right? And so let's say you're having a rough series of events that happens. You got a handgun, and you're in a situation where if you didn't have a handgun, you obviously wouldn't use it. But let's say you get in a situation, what happens to the normal person who has a gun in their hand under challenging circumstances?
Under challenging circumstances, I still don't think people will just unnecessarily use a weapon.
And see, that's why I got to argue with you.
Okay.
Because there's a thing called a crime of passion. Whereas if you thought someone was hitting on your wife, you might just ask them to leave. With a gun,
got a gun,
it's easy to make him leave.
You might,
Somebody bother your daughter or your niece. Man, I invited you over the house, and now you 35 years old hitting on my 16-year-old niece. Now it's a whole nother thing. And so having the gun makes it a lot. In other words, it gives you room for crazy.
But we can't eliminate all possibilities of something bad happening in any situation.
Why? If you don't have a gun, you just beat them up.
That's like saying
I'd rather them beat up than dead.
Yeah, but it's still your ultimate choice to whether or not you pull that trigger or go grab a gun, or if you fight. It's still up to that person's individual decision to make a good decision or a bad decision.
We got people getting shot on the highway. You can't drive down Bishop Ford or Dan Ryan. You flip somebody the finger because people are drinking coffee by 24 ounces.
So actually, it's not the guns, it's coffee. That's what you're saying.
No.
Because I mean, if we ban coffee.
If we stress this out, diet plays a big part in what we do.
All right. So you're serious about that point?
I'm very serious, but I've asked my students to reduce the high, the red dyes in their food.
Sure.
I've asked my students to have their students, to watch the high fructose corn syrup, because you get these kids 4 and 5 years old hyped up on sugar. Then about 5 or 6 they're diagnosed with ADHD. 90% of the people diagnosed with this are being misdiagnosed, and they're people of color.
Yeah, I love the misdiagnosis. Dr. Davis, what is your acronym for ADHD?
Oh yeah, I was just quoting Dr. Umar Johnson. Yeah, we were talking about it earlier. Ain't no daddy at home.
Ain't no daddy at home.
That was a beautiful thing that he stated because it's true, right? And the statistics support it. Right? Most of the children that are diagnosed with that or that end up having other issues educationally or in the justice system, they trace it back. They didn't have a father at home.
Okay, so fine. So and all those are real. And you guys are giving me like 5 more show topics. Okay, and that's cool. But back to this crime of passion. Back to you, normal, got a job. I'm trained, got an FOID card. I'm walking down the street. Someone does something that I find to be intolerable towards a family member of mine. Maybe not life-threatening, but intolerable. Do I pull out my gun?
Well, let me first say, I think there's too many guns on the streets too, by the way. So I'm not just saying I'm pro-gun. There should be a million guns. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying those situations are rare, first of all, and we can't account for every possible rare situation that may arise. As a rule, normal, sensible people that aren't in a position or in a circumstance where they have to go kill somebody or rob somebody will not use that gun in the wrong fashion.
Okay, so
that's all I'm saying.
Let me ask something to you though. Okay, we've all heard of post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
I'm proposing that we are right now, all of us are exposed to chronic stress.
Absolutely.
So chronically, we're being exposed to stress. It will exacerbate. In other words, it'll make us that much less tolerable. All right. So now you drink all the Kool-Aid, I might want to shoot you. You eat all the food. No, we're talking real.
Well, that's true.
I have kids
That's true.
come to the car holding their cereal because they can't leave it's 6 o'clock at night. You still eating cereal 6 o'clock at night? You don't have nothing else to eat. And I've got to bring it with me because somebody might eat it. So we don't know the level of poor that I'm talking about. The level of poor. So to say having more guns will make us safe? No.
No, I'm not
okay,
saying that.
okay.
No, I'm not saying
yes,
that.
and unfortunately, you didn't say that.
Yeah, no,
although
I'm
it'd
not
have been fun
saying
if you had,
that.
because
No,
I would have
Definitely.
gotten to get you a little better.
Definitely.
But here's the deal, guys. Unfortunately, we're out of time today. And I don't think that we're going to solve this problem like this, but if you could just, in just a sentence or two, give our viewers just an idea of what a solution might be as we wrap up. So if you could come down to one solution, what would you do, Professor Muhammad?
The first thing I would say is the powers that be are, a lot of them are probably 1%. They are the billionaires, they're the money makers, and they also influence lawmakers, and they're also invested in prison systems, and they invested in the charter school system. I'm saying stop making them rich.
Okay.
Don't shop on Black Friday. Don't buy state lottery tickets. In other words, these lottery tickets are supposed to be helping the school system, but they're shutting down.
Gotcha.
All right, so let's stop spending money with these people. They don't hear Black Lives Don't Matter. What they hear is 11% drop in sales on Black Friday.
Okay.
20%. Now you'll get their attention.
Okay. Dr. Davis.
My response is a macro level solution and then a micro level. On the macro level, we need to start working on allowing people to have gainful employment or stable jobs and having the opportunity to have stable households, right? Okay. On a micro level, we need to control the neighborhoods. How do you do that besides just saying we need to control the neighborhoods? People in these neighborhoods where all this killing and shooting is taking place, take initiative. Pass out flyers, have a group meeting, organize.
Okay.
Start doing recreational activities with others in the community. When you have a more close-knit community, neighborhood watches even, that actually function and are organized and meet with each other and hold each other accountable. Those types of things can help control the neighborhood and let people know, I will call the police if I see something. If there's a shooting, we're gonna call, we're not scared.
Very good, well said. Well, I thank you guys for joining us today, and I thank you for watching also. Gun violence is a real issue, but I believe it's up to all of us individually to push peace. I think peace is possible, but it won't happen unless each one of us gets involved. Remember, change starts with you. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Ted Williams.
It's been a lot of hating going on lately today, and everybody trying to find a way to make a way. Men on the corner begging for some change. Baby girl, make 'em all pay to play. What's going on with our sensibility to civility? If I had a religion, it would probably be a love song in the distance or a melody. If I had one request, soon after I'm gone, I would ask my Creator future of our babies, yeah. With all the killing happening daily on our city streets. You ain't supposed to cry, baby, dry your eyes. Just another one of those black lives. What's going on with our sensibility to civility? If I had a religion, it would probably be a love song in the distance, or melody. If I had one request, soon after I'm gone, I'd ask my creator, turn the radio on, turn the radio, ooh, ooh. We all need to love one another. We